So, a lot of you are probably wondering why I decided to release my review of Home Alone 3 after Christmas instead of before. Well...
You had a fare from the airport around 1620 hours, January 8th.
It's not even a Christmas film, and your later than expected release date of this video has absolutely nothing to do with me getting writer's block, getting more drunk than I like to admit, and filling up my time with long drawn out sessions of playing Pokemon and watching Gravity Falls. I think they bought Hedwig. Let's just begin. Home Alone 3. If we're going purely by critical reaction here, then you look about as appealing as a diarrhea sundae. Abysmal critical reception for both audiences and critics, Razzie nomination for Worst Sequel in 1997, directed by the same guy who made this piece of shit. Clearly this was a movie made by people short on ideas. Wanna know how I know that? Well, all you need to do is look at the tagline for the film. It's bad news for bad guys. Again. See? Even the filmmakers knew how unoriginal and lazy their movie was. That's pretty bad. But of course what makes Home Alone 3 really sound like shit is the totally unrecognisable cast. You can't continue a franchise with totally different actors, guys. Well, okay, maybe you can, but at least Bond is kind of open to interpretation. Plus there were some actors that returned between each change of lead there. Here, not one cast member returns. Not one.
What?
The only thing Home Alone 3 has in common with the previous two films is that John Hughes is writing. And considering that pretty much everything the guy wrote after Home Alone 2 I wouldn't even find worthy of wiping my ass with, that does not at all raise my hopes that this movie could possibly be good. Hell, the poster even tries to give a bullshit reason for its existence by stating that it's better than the first two Home Alone films. God, who wrote that review? The critic for Zoo Weekly or some shit? Ebert? The Roger Ebert? Did America's most beloved critic of all time just say that Home Alone 3 is better than Home Alone 2 and even the original?
That's exciting. This movie empowers little kids. This is the one where they finally got it right. I liked it better than the other two.
Than the original Home Alone?
Little kids love the idea that they can somehow affect the outcome, that they can have power over grown-ups, that they can defend themselves and be smart and think about things.
He hammers thugs in the first one.
And in this movie, it's not as violent as the second one. The kid is charming. He really is a good little actor. And the plot is smarter than the other movies.
Hey, I'm not going to dispute an opinion. The medium of film is a very subjective thing after all. There's no wrong or right answer. But this is an unusual opinion to say the least. But maybe Ebert has some valid points. Perhaps we've blown everything out of proportion. Maybe Home Alone 3 isn't as bad as everyone makes it out to be. Sure, none of the original cast are here. Sure, the film didn't gross nearly as much as the other two films. Sure, Siskel thought Ebert was nuts when he said he liked it. Sure, the film got nominated for a Razzie and only lost to what is arguably the worst superhero film ever made. Sure, the film is regarded as a shameless cash grab by many. Sure, the director hasn't a fresh movie credit to his name. Oh god, this movie's gonna suck. Well, get your umbrellas, folks, because it looks like we're going to be traversing through one hell of a shitstorm a day. This is Home Alone 3. So considering the first film began in the Chicago suburbs, and the second film began in the Chicago suburbs, the third film begins on the other fucking side of the planet. Congratulations, movie! You literally could not have fucked up the opening shot of your movie more if you tried. What's the opening shot of Home Alone 6 gonna look like? This? Well, okay, in Hong Kong, we're introduced to one Peter Beaupre, who's been hired by a criminal organization to steal a chip that can make a missile undetectable by radar. Wait, what?
$10 million for the missile chip. Not a plan, but the chip itself.
Why the big prize?
I'm watching a Home Alone movie, right?
Sounds like your clients want to build a missile that can't be detected by radar.
How the hell did we go from two bumbling burglars getting hit with paint cans to private military contract terrorists? This is Home Alone, not fucking Enemy of the State. You see, this is Home Alone 1.
When I grow up and get married, I'm living alone.
And this is Home Alone 3.
My clients have requested it. I honor my clients' request.
Home Alone 2.
I'm the king of the cool jack.
Home Alone 3.
I don't ask questions, Mr. Beaupre. But whoever possesses this chip could dominate the entire region.
I mean, good God, you could create a game out of this.
One of these things is not like the others. Which one is different? Do you know? Tell me which thing is not like the others, and I'll tell you if it is so.
Two of these things are Home Alone movies, but this is the most unnecessary movie sequel since Highlander 2.
Ouch.
So yeah, Beaupre is joined by his three fellow compatriots, Unger, Alice and Jernigan, as they retrieve the chip from an employee at Silicon Valley. How this employee got the chip is anyone's guess, as Alice hides the chip in a toy car to, get it past airport security. Do they really need to do that? Since when does customs scan for computer chips? You do realise that pretty much every electronic device in the world has them, right? Hey movie, let me ask you something. What sets off the metal detectors first? The lead in your writer's eyes or the shit in your director's brains? Fed fuck. But once they're through, they're in for a nasty surprise as the car was mixed up with an old lady's luggage, so they board the flight the lady gets on headed to Chicago. They just miss her taxi ride. Yeah, these four international agents can't keep up with an OAP.
How embarrassing.
You had a fare from the airport around 16:20 hours, January 8th.
So Jernigan and Unger get the address as we cut to our lead in the film, Alex, played by Alex D. Linz. And to give credit where it's due, Linz is actually pretty good in the movie, mostly due to his likability. And for those who are thinking, well, why isn't Culkin returning? Well, he'll have been almost an adult at this point, and grown-up Macaulay Culkin, not exactly family entertainment.
All done, Mrs. S. I'm exhausted and sweaty, but you can't see because I'm all covered up.
You were supposed to deal with the snow promptly, weren't you?
Yes, but...
Butts are for ashtrays.
I don't care for excuses. We had an understanding, and you broke it. Your word is worthless.
Okay, that's a bit OTT, don't you think, lady? She just told an 8-year-old his word was worthless. That's a bit melodramatic.
Sorry, that'll be no charge, Mrs. S.
So you can tell the neighborhood I stiffed you on a snow removal job?
You know, I gotta give props to the late Marion Seldes here. You see her in interviews and then you see the character of Mrs. Hess. Well, it's like two different people. I mean, she must have gone through some sort of supernatural transformation to get into the role of this incredibly bitter old lady. Metamorphosis is complete, sir. Marion Seldes has now become... Mega bitch.
Good. Remarkable.
So Mrs. Hess here gives the toy car to Alex as payment for a snow removal job. As he heads home, the bad guys then arrive on the street as Beaupre announces quite possibly the dumbest villain plan you'll ever hear in a motion picture.
There are 14 houses. The toy car must be in one of them. We're going to have to search them all.
Wait, what?
We're going to have to search them all.
Why? That's the dumbest fucking decision I've ever heard since Corey Feldman's Fringe extension.
We're gonna work houses in broad daylight?
No, you fucking... Look, you know what the lady looks like that took the chip? So just knock on one of the 14 houses, ask where a lady that matches their description lives, then go to Mrs. Hess's house and when she opens the door, question her about the car. offer to give her package back to get on her good side, and when she tells you the car is at Alex's house, knock on their door and offer them a cash sum for it. It's not as if they don't have enough money because they outright buy a house to stake out the neighbourhood the next day. Just get Alice here to pose as a mother and say the car was meant for her son or something. You really don't need to break into each house to find it, you Teutonic terrorist twat. You know, I have a feeling that this is the kind of movie Jeremy Jahns would give his "it would be a good time if you're drunk" rating. So, only one thing for it. Time to get more wasted than a GTA character. So after your obligatory binge session, you'll see Alex's house as we're introduced to the family, including Molly, played by young Scarlett Johansson, who's writing math problems on her shoe. I got nothing. We're also introduced to the much less successful sibling, Stan, played by Seth Smith, who has a pet parrot who can speak English better than some adult humans.
Your brother's bug! Your brother's bug! Careful! Careful! Oh! Bullseye! 3 from downtown!
And this doesn't faze me at all. A talking parrot of this level is totally believable. If you happen to be completely plastered, that is. Whoa, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. So that's what that guy is on. But then we see Alex heading into the bathroom as something gets him a little freaked out.
Alex slammed the toilet seat down on his thing again.
Wait a minute, again?
Yeah, I gotta go. My kid slammed the toilet seat on this thing again.
How many times has he done this? I kind of wonder if further penile-related injuries will continue as he grows up. Oh, Alex got his thing stuck in the vacuum cleaner again. Bear with me, kid.
Keep that in your mouth. Chickenpox.
His face doesn't look that bad.
His body is covered.
Would that include his buttock region?
God, what is it with Scarlett Johansson's obsession with Alex's private area?
Would that include his buttock region?
Clearly she's the polar equivalent of this movie. So because Alex is sick with the chicken pox, he gets to stay home from school and watch a bit of TV in bed. And, wait a minute. Am I the only one who's a bit concerned over why an 8-year-old boy is choosing a lady's fitness video as his viewing material? You know what, let's find something a bit more, age appropriate here. Great show, but hardly appropriate for an 8-year-old.
You must have had to beat off a lot of American men to get this part.
No. God, no! Ah, there we go. You should love this one.
Ahoy! I'm Admiral Zhao!
Gotcha.
Childish. Well, it would appear that the chicken pox doesn't have much of an effect in this movie, as Alex just goes about his everyday routine like he's perfectly fine. Seriously, he sneezes once in the movie. That's about as ill as he gets, people. Also, this kid has a disturbingly large amount of gun toys. I can't help but wonder if he might get one mixed up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this movie suddenly got interesting. Oh, it's just the scope. Really? Changing the channel to a Jamie Foxx music video constitutes a prank? Look, no. If you're gonna do that, you gotta change it to something completely random. Okay, I guess that remote has the ability to change the scene. Good thing he pressed the right button.
What did you do? I turned off the wall. No, you didn't. You turned off the whole movie. I must have pressed the wrong button. Well, put it back on. Put the movie back on. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we now need the excuse to get Alex alone in the house. Because, you know, the title makes that kind of important. So the idea this time is that the mother has to leave the house for an hour to, pick up some papers or some shit. I don't know, who cares?
I called Mrs. Hess and told her you'll be alone, and
You call Mrs. Hess? She knows I'm gonna be alone?
she said if anything comes up, she'll be right over. She wasn't happy about it, but...
She could get tanked up on iced tea and come over and make me smoke cigarettes.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
What do I do if there's a tornado?
What?
What do I do if there's a tornado?
Well, that was about as random a question as you could get. You were talking about Mrs. Hess and having her possibly come over, then all of a sudden, what do I do if there's a fucking tornado? That was the most clunky of question segues I've ever heard since...
Anyway, how is your sex life?
That one!
I'll be home as soon as I can.
So the mother leaves her sick 8-year-old son all on his own without a babysitter. Bitch, as Alex continues to look through his telescope, but he quickly spots Beaupre in one of the adjacent houses and rushes to call the police.
Nothing.
Play that scene again, only this time have him say what he really should have said.
A madman.
I thought so. So the mother arrives back home, but in all the commotion, Beaupre gets away, and the police arrive too late.
Freeze!
Sorry, I have a soft spot for cute animals. But this does confuse me because in a previous scene, Alice and Unger kidnap the next door neighbour's dog, assumedly to get it out of the way, but they leave this one? Kronk, help me out here.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no shit. But then we see the police come over to Alex's house as they don't believe his burglar story. Alex tries his best to convince his mum, but she's not having it either.
You get in that bed, young man.
Excuse me, but I saw a man in Karen Steffen's bedroom. A white man a little older than Dad, and he was wearing butt inspection gloves.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Butt inspection gloves? How the hell does an 8-year-old even know about that? Did he spectate during one of his dad's prostate examinations or something? Fucking weird. So Karen here doesn't believe him either, as we cut to a whole different movie apparently, as a group of FBI agents are holding a meeting.
Peter Beaupre, Earl Unger, Burton Jernigan, and Alice Ribbons.
One of these will be your next American Idol.
They were ticketed under known aliases but didn't board the Hong Kong flight. I believe they're still in the U.S., but beyond that, I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to find that chip.
How did they even know about the chip? Seriously, this is something that was explored at the beginning of the film, but isn't touched upon again. There's so many questions going through my head here regarding the chip. Like, who manufactured it? Why did they manufacture it? Did the chip have another intended use other than being put in a missile? How did the North Korean mob boss know such a chip existed? How did the FBI know Beaupre and Co. entered the US? Why are these four on America's Most Wanted list? I mean, what's on their terrorist curriculum vices? I mean, I know this shouldn't matter because it's a dumb kids film, but the movie began like a techno spy thriller. You could at least clue us in a bit more about this aspect of the movie. It's honestly kind of an interesting premise. Shame it got tied to a Home Alone movie somehow. So the following morning, it would appear that despite the incident with the police, the parents are perfectly happy to leave Alex on his own again. Okay, I don't know how it works in America, but you bet your ass I'd be on the phone to social services about now. Holy crap, are these parents horrible. Alright.
Dad?
Stop wearing hijinks.
This is a very safe and secure neighborhood. We have great police, as you learned yesterday. Nothing bad is going to happen here.
I have a feeling that this is the kind of guy who forgets to put on things quite often. That's why he has 3 kids.
Thank you.
Bye, Dad.
So once the father leaves, Alex looks through his telescope again, but notices Beaupre in one of the houses. Again. So he calls 911. Again. The police come. Again. And no one believes him. Again. But this time we do see the parents' beepers going off, and check this scene out.
Hi, you are just in time. Mr. Pruitt?
Wait.
What the hell was that?
Son, this is the second time in 2 days that you've called the police. It's a very serious matter when a person calls the police.
I saw a burglar yesterday, and I saw a burglar today.
Alex, listen to the chief.
Oh, poor kid. He can't defend himself when he's only 8. Tell you how I would deal with all this.
Son, this is the second time in 2 days that you've called the police. It's a very serious matter when a person calls the police.
Blow me, old man.
Alex?
Shut up, Mom. I'm not gonna do any time. Besides, you're the irresponsible one leaving a sick 8-year-old all on his own without a babysitter.
Alex, apologize to the chief and go up to your room.
Oh, what's that? Oh, sorry, I was playing with this thing I found in one of Dad's drawers. It's even got a pretty laser on it. Whoops. So Alex heads upstairs when we get this scene as Molly and Stan make fun of him, in a peculiarly cruel fashion.
The world laughs, Alex.
You've stained the family name.
Did Stanley Kubrick take over directing or something? These two are freaking me the fuck out. I mean, how come Stan Smith and Scarlett Johansson were never cast in more horror roles? Like the twins from The Shining, for example.
And even worse.
The world laughs, Alex.
You've stained the family name. Call for help?
It won't come.
So as Alex ponders his own sanity, he realises that no one is going to believe him without evidence. So he decides to take matters into his own hands, as with an aerial, a camcorder, and a bit of duct tape, he fashions himself a mobile security network. And for those who are questioning how an 8-year-old can do all that, clearly you're too sober for this picture. So Alex drives the car to the house Beaupre is in, though I do question as to why he doesn't just film Beaupre from his room, seeing as how he was able to see him from there before. Well, anyway, he makes his way through a cat flap. Well, thank God that Alcotts have a cat, otherwise you'd be screwed.
Look, Doris.
Am I the only one who thinks that's kind of cruel? Look, Doris, it's an animal that wants to kill you and eat you alive. Stupid mouse. So Alex makes his way through the conveniently vacant home as he spots Beaupre in one of the rooms.
Got him, Doris. Got him. Yes. You are so busted.
Holy crap, kid, the way you reacted there, you think something truly terrifying popped up.
You are so busted.
Hey, it's Fred!
So Beaupre attempts to snatch the car and actually grabs it just outside the house. Remember, the chip they're looking for is in the car. It's going to be a bit of a short movie, isn't it?
Get the chip.
What? Why did you turn the camera back on? That was so dumb. I mean, thank God she doesn't point other things at her face and casually flick switches like that. Here, check the gun. That was close. So we got a chase in our hands, and I gotta admit, this scene's actually a lot of fun. It's dumb, but it's fun dumb.
I'll look around.
Bloody hell, how much air is that thing getting?
It's coming
manages to get the car back home, but sadly Beaupre got the tip. Alex though does find the chip inside as he calls a recruiting station to tell them about it. They don't believe him, but he does give them the number on the chip.
It's a kid. It has to be a kid.
I'm gonna have bad knees when I'm old, and I'll have Bert and Jernigan to thank.
The cops come twice. They don't believe the kid. He takes matters into his own hands. It can't be anything else.
I know. I read the back of the DVD case. So Alex spends the night preparing for war, but before we get to the main course, the villains decide to do a bit of scouting.
Switching on the fiber optics.
Good God, Google Glass was invented by terrorists, I knew it! But Alex has a plan as he uses a whistle to trip up Alice and rescue the dog. Still mighty confused as to why they still have the dog, but then again questioning logic in a movie like this is a bit like the Grammys, in that it's really quite pointless. Hello, random pants split. Still, if we reverse that, you know, that's not bad. But we cut back to Alex as Karen's about to leave for a 4th time. 4 times! That fucking Vader was a better parent than you.
Did you watch the weather for me?
Yep, no problems. Your coat's over there.
Oh, thanks. I wanted to wear my brown one.
Wait! Why don't you go fill your Khmer cup with yummy hot coffee, and I'll get your coat for you.
Thanks, hon.
Oh man, that would have been funny. That would have been so fucking funny. Alex would forever be the youngest member of his family. I have issues.
Here's your coat.
Thanks. Oh, sweetheart, I am so sorry about this week. It breaks my heart to have to come and go like this.
Yeah, I could just hire a babysitter, but John Hughes forgot to give me a brain. Bye. Well, okay, Karen does get Mrs. Hess to watch Alex this time, but calls after she leaves for some reason. That was dumb, especially seeing as how Alice captures her and ties her up in a garage with a door up so she can freeze to death. Hypothermia is funny. So we're finally here, folks, the defining moment of any Home Alone picture, the booby traps. So, what's up first? Yep, you saw that, people. The first trap of this Home Alone movie is the electric chair. Up next on Home Alone 3, Alice gets lethal injection! So whilst Jernigan is fucking around out back, Unger and Beaupre try the front.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Ouch.
Ouch. Ouch. I think having blood and brain matter escape through cracks of your fractured skull would not give you enough time to go, ouch. I mean it, guys, the traps in this movie are bloody brutal. But, you know what? I actually kind of like that about this movie. Sure, there are some childish slapstick here and there, but there are moments here that are so violent, it's actually kind of hilarious. Holy shit! Okay, play that again. This time let's add a bit more realism.
Live or die. Make your choice.
Really, mate? That's your reaction after your sudden stroke with death? Look, you do realise that your hair will grow back. Your head, however... Okay, let's cut back to Beaupre and see what he's up to.
Surprise. What a loser.
Fuck me! Damn sure it's good that blade didn't come through more to the right.
What a loser.
Well, okay, but Prey gets in when he notices a crying doll. God, that's the most depressing toy I've ever seen in my life. Can you imagine such a toy existing in the real world?
Why would Andy ever want to play with me? I'm the one that should be strapped to that rocket.
Oh, the lost toy.
Oh, God. So meanwhile, I'm back with Alice. Things could be better. What is she doing? Okay, this movie is illegal. Because in order to fully appreciate it, you need to be on some kind of unlawful substance. So all the goons end up down in the basement, though Jernigan's entrance is a bit confusing. Jeez, how many stories does this building have?
I'm coming down!
Well, this is the part of the movie where I feel sorry for anyone who wanted a chocolate milkshake at the concession stand.
Excuse me, I have to go and vomit.
So after a brief rest, Alice, Jernigan and Unger head upstairs to look for Alex. I should mention that in this portion of the movie, Beaupre just disappears. Seriously, he's nowhere to be seen. We see him listen to a phone call between Alex and his mum, and he just vanishes. Well, anyway, we come to a scene which I guess pays homage to the crowbar scene from the first movie, but you gotta get ready for it, because this scene alone makes Home Alone 3 worth watching.
What? What? Alice? Shh. Alice?
Jesus Christ!
You smacked my Winky.
Winky? How delightfully PG. Still, that perhaps wasn't the best word to use here, as children everywhere will now know that a certain Teletubby has a penis metaphor in its name. So Alex escapes to the backyard as Unger and Jernigan plan to jump down on a trampoline to get down. It's painfully obvious this is a trap, because if Alex got down this way then there'd be footprints on the trampoline, but you know, Home Alone villains, they're a bit slow.
Yeah, this is a snap. This is a snap.
Go! No. I think you mean go! Alice, however, decides to take a slightly different route.
Here I come, you little brat.
Ah, you see? That's why women go nuts when you leave the toilet seat open, guys. Because they have a distinct inability to look at something first before sitting on it. So Alex quickly heads to Mrs. Hess, and as smart as Alex is, it's pretty stupid of him not to realise there were 4 crooks gunning for him.
The chip, son. Give me the chip.
And that doesn't belong to you either.
What?
That's not your gun.
So you meaning to tell me that a private military contractor can't tell the difference between a toy gun and a real gun, but an 8-year-old civilian can? You know what, just play that scene like how it should have gone.
That's not your gun.
But in actuality, this happens.
This is your gun. Gotcha.
So yes, it would appear that
The day is saved, thanks to fucking bubbles!
So Alex says Mrs. Hess from the cold, as it turns out the FBI got wind of Alex's call to the recruiting station earlier as they come in to take the bad guys away.
Freeze!
You gotta be kidding.
I'm not sure I'm making any more nostalgic references, seeing as how he already reviewed Home Alone 3, but
I was frozen today!
I had to, people, I mean, come on. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, Beaupre hasn't been caught, but it's okay, there's someone on the case, as we cut to a scene where Stan's parrot drives Alex's remote control car by himself, just so happens to find Beaupre hiding in an igloo, lights a match and sets off a series of conveniently placed explosives, thus single-handedly apprehending a man who's been wanted by the FBI for 7 years. Well, there goes half my brain cells. So after the dumbest scene in motion picture history outside of Hayden Christensen saying he doesn't like sand, things wrap up. Beaupre is caught, mother and son are reunited, Stan and Molly are no longer dicks, and we come to our final scene in the film. And I actually kinda like how this scene has some throwbacks to the previous Home Alone films. They're eating pizza like in Home Alone 1, this line.
Have you ever had the chicken pox?
I had the chicken pox when Herbert Hoover was in the White House.
Sounds similar to one from Home Alone 2.
You know, Herbert Hoover once stayed here on this floor.
The vacuum guy?
And the mother's red hair I hear is a reference to Kevin's mum. That's kinda neat. But then we see the dad come home as he's got Alex a toy car as a gift. eBay didn't exist back then, so I guess he's screwed.
Think you can drive that?
I think we can handle it.
Gentlemen, start your engines. 360, 360.
Bloody parrot. So, that was...
What's on your mind, monkey butt?
So, I was home...
Bad Leroy Brown.
So that was Home Alone 3, and despite my inevitable letters of complaint from Peter, I honestly didn't think this movie was that bad. I mean, yeah, it was doomed from the start. There was no way this could be as good as the Culkin films, but I can't help but feel that people dismiss this movie simply because Kevin isn't in it. So let's go through what worked here, starting with our lead. Because Alex D. Linz I don't think was given enough credit here. I agree with what Roger Ebert said, he's very charming and much like Culkin was able to hold his own in a film where 90% of its scenes has him in it. I have a feeling that if John Hughes' writing had been as strong here as it was in the first two films, that the character of Alex Pruitt would have been held in as high as regarded as Kevin McAllister. With what Linz was given to work with, I honestly don't see how he could have done a better job. The movie's also got a great score. Now sadly John Williams didn't return here, the music this time being handled by Nick Glennie Smith, but I gotta say, he did some great tracks here. One I really liked was the theme for the villains. Then there's the defining moment of any Home Alone film, the booby traps, and here it's certainly hit and miss. There are definitely traps that leave little to the imagination and lack impact, but there are a few that do work because you can feel the pain these traps inflict. Again, a lot of people will hate this movie because of how implausible it is, but to those people I say, was Home Alone ever plausible? You have to suspend your disbelief with these films if you're to enjoy them. There's no way in hell an 8-year-old boy in the real world could set up a house full of booby traps and fend off several armed adults all on his own. I find it weird when I see people saying that Home Alone 3's logical shortcomings ruined the movie when Home Alone 1 and 2 had about just as many. I think though what makes Home Alone 3 not work as well as the Culkin films is three things. 1. Whilst it has its moments, it's not as funny. 2. It's not got the heart of the previous films. Now what I mean by that is that when you look at Home Alone 1, there was a lesson learned. That family is important, that deep down, even when things are rough, you still love your folks and shouldn't be without them. Home Alone 2 had the same moral lesson, but it did at least have a moral lesson. In Home Alone 3, there's nothing like that. Alex gets on well with his family throughout the majority of the film. The only time he falls out with them is when they don't believe him. Alex in this film is perfect. He does nothing morally wrong here and doesn't go through a character arc like Kevin did. Now yes, Kevin's family wrongs him more than he wrongs them, but Kevin does at least learn something on his adventures. Alex just doesn't. And finally, the third reason why this film doesn't work as well as 1 and 2, the villains, whilst okay, aren't too memorable. Now Harry and Marv are brilliant, they bounce off each other very well, they get some great lines, and when it comes down to it, they're idiots. They're just a couple of bottom-of-the-barrel crooks, and they made the idea of a kid who could fend off 2 grown men with booby traps somewhat believable. In Home Alone 3, however, the villains are international agents working with a North Korean terrorist organization. And there's 4 of them. At the beginning of the film, they're shown to be calculated, cool, and well organised, so when you see them getting their asses handed to them by an 8-year-old, it's really hard to buy. What Home Alone 3 needed to do was, well, never exist, but if it had to be made, it should have stayed true to the series' roots. Have the villains be idiots, but not idiotic in the sense that they're stupid, but idiotic in the sense that they're, charmingly stupid. A lot of what made Home Alone 1 and 2 work was the presence and likability of the characters. Home Alone 3's characters just doesn't have that. They tried, but Stan here doesn't have the douchebaggery of Buzz, Mrs. Pruitt doesn't have the dedication of Mrs. McAllister, Mrs. Hess doesn't have the impact of Uncle Frank, and the villains pale in comparison to Harry and Marv's likeable idiocy. But there's no denying this film has some redeeming qualities. It is inferior to 1 and 2, but it's harmless fun that kids will probably like. I know because I loved this film as a kid. I can definitely understand why people think Home Alone 3 is garbage and it doesn't really have anything to offer any adults watching, but if you have kids and they want to watch Home Alone 3, there are most definitely worse films to put on. Like these 2 for example, but thankfully I'd have to review them, because they were never released in theatres. I think I'd die watching them anyway, likely from drinking too much trying to get through them. Well, anyway. I'm the usual suspect, and actually, can I see the clip of Jernigan getting hit in the balls one more time? Oh, I am gonna be here for a while. I'll see you next time.
You smacked my winky.